We are live. Welcome back to the program, you beautiful people. It's Thursday, November 16th. Man, the week's just flying by. I guess it's because it was a long weekend. But, anyways, clearly I'm still here in clinic. Exciting news. I got caught up on my charting that I had to get done from last week, only on Thursday. So now I get to start on all of my charting for this week. So, that's my big exciting news of the day. Really making some wicked progress in that sense, and God, I'm so tired. But welcome to the program, everyone. Very excited to have you here today. We are dishing on all things that are weight fluctuations. So talking about why our weight fluctuates, why it goes up and down, why can't it just go steadily down and we lose all of the weight. Really, some great questions here. And I think this is definitely something that a lot of people struggle with and ultimately hinders them from really making any kind of long term progress along their weight management journey. Now, it's kind of a twofold thing of not only thinking that progress isn't happening, but also putting so much weight behind the metric of the number on the scale and it being the end all be all of all things and really can hinder the progress they're trying to make. And when you don't see your one metric that you ultimately can't control go down, well, you're going to get disappointed pretty darn quickly. So, the things that can ultimately affect our weight. Well, there's a few of them, quite a few of them actually. And it's going to depend sometimes on situation, what's going on, and that sort of thing. But fundamentally, if you've ever been on a weight loss journey, you know it's not just a straight, nice linear line. There's going to be fluctuations up and down, up and down. Sometimes you get big fluctuations up, sometimes you get big fluctuations down. It's really going to depend on a day-to-day basis as to what exactly is kind of occurring and happening in those various situations and such. And ultimately, it's not a straight cut pattern that of things just going beautifully downwards. That's just not the reality of weight loss and how this process works. So, the reason why our weight fluctuates so much, there's kind of five, six, seven. Well, I mean, there's more than seven, but it's really kind of a multitude of things. One of the big first things to kind of talk about is what is it that we're eating on a day-to-day basis, right? So humans, we don't consume the same foods day after day after day after day. And so there's going to be variations in carbohydrate content, in our salt content, and those various types of things. And what we need to know about, we'll start with salt in particular, is that salt ultimately causes more fluid to be taken on and to be pulled on. So if you consume a large, heavy salt meal, you went to McDonald's, got the good old McDonald's fries, which are freaking delicious, and you consumed a heavy amount of salt. Well, the fluid and water that you drink over the course of that day, that evening, or what have you, a lot more of that's going to be getting taken up because your body is trying to maintain the balance of salt in your system. Having too much salt definitely can cause some problems and issues, not only at the level of your kidneys, but also blood pressure and such like that. And in fact, that's why we talk about salt being a problem for blood pressure, is that it causes our body to hold on to and retain water. Water then fills up and increases the pressure inside of the pipes, which are our vessels, and up goes our blood pressure. So that's always one thing that we need to keep in mind. So if you had a very heavy salt meal or saltier day, I guess you could say, previously, well, then, yeah, you're going to weigh more when you weigh in on the scale the next day because you've taken on more salt, you've taken on more fluid. Perfectly normal. It's not actually fat that you're taking on. Next up would be something like carbohydrates. So, carbohydrates, this is why people get really excited about fasting and keto and, well, it's the only thing that ever worked for me. And it's not that it's the only thing that worked for you. You have this idea that it's the only thing that worked for you because you dropped a lot of weight very quickly. But going on keto, going on a fasting diet, you're not actually losing fat out the gate. You are losing fluid. you see for every molecule of glucose, and glucose is like the minuscule building block of carbohydrates. So when it's rice or whatever, we break it down and we get the tiny little glucose molecules and such. Every single molecule of glucose that your body is holding onto, you are going to be holding on to, I think it's like 5 or 6 molecules of water. So your body can hold a lot of glucose, in particular in your liver, in your muscles, and such like that. And as those storages get depleted because you're not taking in any more carbs, because you're fasting for a long period of time, well, voila, you're going to drop a bunch of glucose, it's going to get burned off, and subsequently, you're going to drop a lot of water. So you're not losing fat, you are literally just losing water. So that is why your weight is ultimately dropping in that situation of things. Similarly, if you were eating maybe a lower to moderate carb level amount, and then you go crush a large pizza or something like that on Friday night, when you weigh in on Saturday, well, yeah, your number on the scale is going to be up. Not only was there salt, but also there was a crap ton of carbs compared to what you aren't used to. Scale is going to go up. Voila. You didn't gain fat overnight. It is physiologically impossible. You would have to consume such a huge amount of calories that it's just not going to happen. It literally is just fluid shifts. Now, the next big one that a lot of people, I don't know why, we all do it every single day, or most of us do it every single day, is that you're full of poop. Poop is definitely going to be some extra weight. If you were to weigh yourself, go take a dump, weigh yourself again, you're going to be a little bit lighter. Depending if you're constipated or having some other issues on the GI tract of things, yeah, that could be a bigger drop, a bigger change in number, right? So keeping that in mind, that your poop can also play a significant role in your day-to-day weight fluctuations. I know for myself, have a big one, you're definitely feeling a little bit lighter, right? So poop is a big one. Similarly, if you did have a whole bunch of food and had that extra large pizza, you're going to have more poop in the system. So then your weight is going to be up. Again, not because of fat, but because you're full of shit. Pun intended, kind of. Anyways, the next things that we're kind of looking at here are maybe a little bit more nuanced, kind of somewhat. So one of the ones that I always talk to people about, in particular, if you have started doing a significant increase in activity, or really any substantial change in your activity levels overall, what you might ultimately see is an increase in weight on the scale the next day. Now, in particular, if you do resistance training and you've started to add that in and you work like one of your big muscle groups, why we see a increase in the scale after you work out is that your body or your muscles that you worked are inflamed, right? So the process of working out, whether it's going for a run, going for a long walk, lifting weights, or what have you, is a process of causing inflammation, tearing in that muscle. So just like when you roll your ankle and your ankle gets red, swollen, and painful, well, the same thing is happening on a more controlled microscopic level at the level of your muscles. When we have that inflammation, even though it's for muscle building and such like that, what ultimately happens is that muscle is going to draw fluid. It's going to cause that inflammatory response, just like is what would happen at your ankle if you rolled it. It's going to get a little bit more swollen, having more fluid. And so you can see a shift and see the number on the scale go up. In particular, if you have, say, a big leg day, for example, your legs are some of the biggest muscles on your body. And ultimately, when those numbers or when you work those muscles out, the next day you can see a substantial increase because the legs are so swollen. When it's so swollen that you have trouble sitting on the toilet, yeah, you can guarantee you're more inflamed and going to be holding more fluid in terms of the muscles in the leg. So those are some other reasons why we will sometimes see an increase in the scale, even though you're working out, you're doing everything right. Why isn't the scale going down? It's just because your muscles, they're inflamed. They're doing what they're doing. They're healing. You got a good workout in. That's fantastic. That's awesome. And so it's moving you in the right direction and ultimately causes the scale to go up. But if you keep up with it, that scale will go down. So the next things that we're looking at here, I've got on my list. Lifting, pooping. Okay. So sometimes what can also happen is depending on when you had your meal, when you're weighing in, and that sort of thing. So if you're getting up, for example, really, really, really early, and say your body hasn't fully digested the food that you had the night before, or what have you, or you haven't like completely filtered and got all the fluid and everything like that out, or made all the poop and gotten rid of the poop and whatnot, that number on the scale could potentially still be up if your weigh-in is really early in the morning. So those are kind of, can be some differences that occur there. The other big one that I really like to point out with people is that if you are not getting a good night's sleep, that's going to cause like whole body inflammation, because your body desperately wants to sleep. It wants you to rest, to relax, so it can do all the processes of digestion and filtering and making urine, poop, and all that kind of stuff. And so, if you're not getting a good night's sleep, the whole body is going to be inflamed. Again, inflammation is going to draw and cause you to hold more fluid, thus causing the number on the scale to go up. What I can tell you is that in my experience, when I did a bodybuilding competition, actually pretty much same time this year, last year. And what I found is that over the course of the week, generally I would increase, Monday to Friday and even to Saturday, my weight would go up and up and up and up. And then Sunday, I would get a big drop. The reason why I saw this big drop was because Saturday to Sunday, Sundays I usually slept in. So I got 7 to 8 to maybe even 9 hours of sleep. And basically, my body got enough time to filter, to process, to relax, and not be as inflamed. And boom, the water fell off. So, again, it is a matter of fluid shifts and not actually gaining fat. So, that's kind of some of the main ones and the main aspects of things that can cause your weight to fluctuate on a day to day basis. It's very important to keep those in mind because, again, that process of losing weight, it's not going to be linear. It's going to go up and down, and all over the place. And a lot of people get too caught up in a single point and say, well, I'm not losing weight. And ultimately, what happens is that, say you weigh in maybe even every day throughout the week, and you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, goes up and down, up and down. And then on Friday, they see that they're on an uptrend and they go, well, it's not working. Screw this. I'm just going to go say, fuck it. And I'm just going to go eat all the food and everything. And so then they go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, eat a whole bunch of food, feel disgusted with themselves. And then they're like, oh, well, maybe I should get back on track. Yeah. Monday we'll start again and we'll see if we can do it again this time. Start again Monday, the whole process begins to occur, and ultimately that cycle continues over and over and over again. So it's not so much a matter of, it's a matter of not having enough patience. It's a matter of putting too much weight behind that number on the scale and it being your only metric of success, and ultimately causing, well, if you don't reach whatever metric you've set for yourself, it really seems to cause people to derail and not look at the bigger picture. That's why it's so important that even on the Friday, even on the Sunday, if you're still seeing numbers going up and down, you want to keep doing what you're doing for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, because you want to be able to see what the actual trend is. And if you're truly in a calorie deficit, if you are truly being consistent with everything that you're doing, that trend is going to go down. Sometimes it's going to be faster, sometimes it's going to be slower, but the trend is your friend because that is showing you what is actually happening to your weight. And it's not going based on what the day-to-day fluctuations are depicting, because those are often going to be off and weird. And, we did talk about the number of things that can affect it and such. And some days, well, the wind might blow and the number on the scale might go up. Vice versa, might go down. So really start to kind of zoom out, stop focusing on one particular number and it being the end all be all of your entire life and sole focus, and look at the bigger picture of, am I working out multiple times a week? Cool. Weight's not trending where or staying about the same. Well, that's awesome. Maybe it's going up because you're adding in more fluid and inflammation because you're tearing and building the muscle and that sort of thing. All really good things. So now it's just a matter of continuing to do that because you're improving your health and you just got to keep on doing it. So yeah, that's kind of some of the ways that the body will fluctuate in weight, regardless if you're on the medications such as Mounjaro or Zepbound or Ozempic or Wegovy or what have you. We can still see these various fluctuations, very common, very normal. It's just the reality of using the meds. And even on those drugs, you may not always see your weight on the scale go down. And that's okay. It might not happen every single day, might not happen every single week. Again, it is the overall trend that you need to look at. And a lot of times I will actually have to take all the numbers that my patients will provide to me and actually graph them out on Excel for them and show them this trend that's going downwards. And then it finally clicks for them sometimes. So keep that in mind. If you really want to be successful on your weight management journey, follow the trend. The trend is your friend. Very important to do that and realize that if you're doing everything right and the scale went up, cool, there's some other factor that's going on. So you keep on going. But ultimately, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of it as to what exactly it is that you're striving for and what you're trying to do for your overall health. So that's pretty much it. That's all I think I got really for weight fluctuations. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else at present. So if you peeps got some questions, I am happy to answer them. I know we're supposed to be doing these every Wednesday, but this month has been ridiculous. And I think even next week we're slotted for the Tuesday, not the Wednesday. So keep that in mind. And then I'm hoping come December, at least for the first couple of weeks, we'll be lined up where we'll do the every Wednesday throughout December and kind of coming into the new year. But yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks, been a busy week this week. It's been absolutely crazy. And seeing lots of patients, doing lots of work and a lot of really cool projects and things that are on the go. So all exciting and cool stuff. But I will happily take any questions if there are any. If not, then we will kind of leave her at that for tonight and I'll go back to my charting. Sweet. All right. You're all just so blown away that no questions are to be had. Awesome. Well, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I think we'll kind of leave it there for weight fluctuations and why your weight fluctuates. Like I said, multiple reasons that are behind it, can happen with or without the medications. Your key point, though, is to be patient and to keep chipping away and building at what you are doing, because those health behaviors that you're engaging in are going to be most important for your overall health and the long-term outcomes you're looking for, compared to just seeing that number on the scale go down. Probably one of the biggest reasons why I see people not having a ton of success in the long term is because they're too focused on the number on the scale. Jordan. So Jordan's asking, hi, Dr. Dan. Do you think someone on Mounjaro / Zepbound should titrate up if losing on 5 milligrams? I mean, if you're losing and things are going well for you, there's really no reason to keep pushing the dose up. Yeah, I usually don't recommend it. The cool thing about these drugs is that they're so effective these days that you don't need to keep pushing the dose higher and higher to get a benefit. A lot of people are going to get great results at 5 milligrams. Some people are going to need 10. Some people are going to need 15 milligrams. It's all about finding the dose that ultimately works for you. But if 5 milligrams is working, cool, keep on at it. And there's no reason to go up further, especially if you're not having side effects. That's kind of one of the big things, is that we want to find that balance of getting the benefit but no side effects, and you're winning at that point. So no, I wouldn't recommend it necessarily. But of course, depends on the individual and all the things that we're looking at. Good question, though. Sweet. My pleasure. Glad it helped. All right. I will leave her at that then, everybody. As always, thank you very much for tuning in. Like I said, we'll probably be getting on a more regular program come December, I really hope. But stay tuned. Nonetheless, next Tuesday, we will be back on the YouTube Live. So be sure to come and check it out. And yeah, as always, leave me your questions, comments, and what have you. So we will talk to you guys later and have a great weekend.